All right, everybody, thank you. Really appreciate it. Well, first of all, good evening to our wonderful Patchogue-Medford community. Thank you for attending tonight's Patchogue-Medford's Road to Success 5-year plan. This is our first step forward as we develop our future together. Before we begin, let us start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So before we begin, I would like to introduce our board members this evening. We have our president, Thomas D'Onofrio. We have our first vice president, Anthony O'Brien. We have our second vice president, Kellyanne Jennings. Trustee Diana Andrade. Trustee Christine Rigola. Bunny Schiller. And unfortunately, Mr. Atkins is not here tonight, unfortunately, so just a round of applause for Mr. Atkins. So, first and foremost, the board's unwavering support for this initiative. I can't tell you how much I certainly appreciate this as we move forward. You know, at our State of the District address last week, you learned about our new vision and mission statements, our district core values, the Patchogue-Medford High School graduate profile, as well as the new educational philosophy. And I'm really proud of the work that we've accomplished so far, but we do have a significant amount of work that lies ahead of us. Tonight you'll hear for the first time recommendations as to how we may go from point A to point B, from good to great. And tonight we will hear from 2 of the 5 pillar committees. We have our comprehensive and progressive programs, and then we also have promoting and advancing human capital. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is to learn about the recommendations from these 2 committees. And first of all, I just want to thank all of our committee members who will be acknowledged during their presentations, who have given up their time and energy to make our school district the best that it can be. What started 5 months ago will now be shared with the whole community. Many of you, including some of our board trustees, will be hearing or seeing this information for the first time. The exciting recommendations which will be made by our committee members. Each committee will have a purpose to their presentation, a set of goals, strategies to implement the goals, as well as a series of measurements to ensure that the goals are met. Some of the presentations will also include the financial cost to approve and to implement as we look to move forward. So during this whole process, I have taken the very difficult step and removed myself from the committee work that has taken place since past November. You know, my job was to ensure that the process was transparent to our wonderful school community, and I believe each step of the way, the school district has been proactive in ensuring all community members that they have been up to date regarding our next steps. So allow me to end with this, because I can talk forever and ever, and I don't want to do that. But it's almost too late at this point. But let me continue. And it's important that I do end with this, because it's setting the stage for what's about to take place. The role of the superintendent is to not have all the ideas. It's to create a culture where everyone can have ideas and feel like that they are valued. The answer is not to standardize education, but to personalize and customize it to the needs of each child in this great community. There is no alternative, and there never was. That is what we are hoping to achieve here in PatMed. So as a brilliant educator once said, human resources are like natural resources, and they are often buried deep. You have to go looking for them. They're not just lying around on the surface. And many of our highly talented, brilliant, creative people think they're not because the thing that they are very good at school wasn't valued, or was actually stigmatized in some way. So think about this. Public schools were not only created in the interests of the Industrial Revolution back in the 1800s, they were created in the image of industrialism, and there's a point to this. But this is what we live in right now in our schools. And in many ways, they reflect the factory culture in which they were designed to support. This is especially true in our schools, where school systems base education on the principles of an assembly line and the efficient division of labor. And that is not our kids. Schools divide the curriculum with the content specialists. Some teachers install math. Some talk about social studies. They arrange the day into standard units of time, marked out by the ringing of bells, much like a factory announcing the beginning of the workday or the end of breaks. Students are educated in batches according to their age, and as if the most important thing they have in common is their date of birth. I mean, think about this in the way that kids go through our school system. They're often given standardized tests at set points, and we compare them until they go out into the real world. But this is what we want for Patchogue-Medford. We want something more than that. We want something that is the alternative to that. Our children deserve something more personal. And the question is, can we create a 5-year plan that celebrates the diversity in all of us, as well as harvests the unique talents of our children? And I believe this is the first step in doing so, and that's tonight. Each presentation will take between 20 and 25 minutes. We will then open it up to any questions from the audience. The goal is to keep each presentation to around 45 minutes. If all questions do not get asked tonight, I ask that you please email me the questions you have, and then we will certainly get back to you as soon as we can. If our timeline holds true, after pillars 3 through 5 present on April 20th, the board will receive a plan for possible adoption at May's board meeting. And if the board needs more time to have any questions answered or further discussion is warranted, I am hopeful for a June adoption. That is the timeline, and I am hoping that we stay within that timeline. But it's important that I now step aside and we listen to our first presentation. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Mr. David Clutcher up to begin with our Pillar 1 presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? First I want to say thank you to Dr. Hynes for trusting me to lead this committee. It's been a sheer pleasure to do that, and I'm very happy with the outcome of our committee work. I work with a terrific group of people. They're all highly dedicated, committed, and passionate people who really care about the education of Pat Ed. So it just made a pleasure working together. We numbered 17. In fact, this is our team that you see here. And we were such a large group that we realized after a couple of meetings that we really had to break into 3 groups so we could really function in a really dynamic manner. So that's what we did. So what you'll be seeing actually, well, before I move on, I just want to mention a couple of people here specifically that really went above and beyond the call of duty here. So Gloria Sesto, the Director of Social Studies, she took it upon herself to join 2 committees, actually, 2 subcommittees. So she gave up double the amount of time to come to every meeting, and even did that with a broken wrist where she still had to get her husband to drive her here back in the evening and stay through the night while he sat out in the driveway while she worked with us. So thanks to Gloria. Also, I'd like to thank specifically Joe Pellicelli. He also came through in a big way to really craft some of the language for the CTE part of this presentation that you'll be seeing, so thanks to Joe. Also, we had Sharon Deland, our director of, I mentioned Joe. Joe's assistant principal to work on. We have Sharon Deland, who's our director of English, and a whole bunch of other things, library things. But Sharon also joined 2 subcommittees, came out double the amount of time. She also helped co-author much of the work that you'll see in the PowerPoint that we handed out at the end. and that you see presented here. And she also, at times when I couldn't make every one of those subcommittee meetings, she took the lead and facilitated those meetings as well. So thanks to Sharon especially as well. So. And lastly, to Christine Purcell, she's a P&L teacher at Barton. She and I would put in, I don't know, seemed like 18 hours or something last week to create this presentation. So we really hope that you'll enjoy it, that it's informative for you, and makes it easy to understand what our committee work is on. So let me begin at this point. So just so you have a sort of lay of land here, you'll see this is our pillar 1, and it's entitled Comprehensive and Progressive Programs. And the way we structure this is that we have a group down here, a group up in the upper left, and a group up upper right. So those represent 3 separate goals that we focused on. Now, just so you understand, we started with a laundry list of about 38 items that people have a particular interest in terms of programs that they want to see implemented at PatMed. That's a huge list. So through much work and hard work and through electronic means, we were able to pare that down, synthesize it into 3 primary goals. So what that means, though, is that we were sort of able to coalesce things into one, but it really left a large number of items that really went unaddressed. So I want you to know that this is not the be-all to end-all to all lists that we had, but we had to sort of prioritize what we thought we could accomplish in a realistic time frame that we thought was attainable, both in the short term and long term. So we hope that we can revisit those items that didn't sort of make the cut, because they were all very valuable and certainly deserve this district's attention. So just so you know where we're coming from as far as that goes. So this is, you're about to see a number of our committee members get up and speak to what we believe really puts us on the road to success. So everything that you're going to see tonight, we passionately believe that is good for kids. That was the bottom line. We all believe that what we're doing is intended to be beneficial to students. So that was really the guiding force for us. In addition to the groups that we also had a couple of teachers come out who served as our sort of experts. We had Lorraine Myers, I think she's here somewhere, sitting right over there. Thank you, Lorraine. Oversees the business department. She is, I didn't know her until our committee meeting, but she is just so fraught with depth of knowledge in the whole business program and CTE program. So again, thanks to her. And then we also had Matthew Golden. He's a technology teacher at South Ocean. And he too is a wealth of resources and hopefully something we can tap into as we move forward in the direction that we hope we can. So we had a couple of teachers and also had an expert come from the state to speak to our group as well. So we really try to reach out and get some resources that could really provide us some knowledge into areas that we weren't always necessarily the most informed on. So we feel that we've made great inroads in that regard. So again, thanks to all those people. So as I said, as Mike was just saying, that you're going to hear from us goals. For each goal, you're going to hear 2 to 3 objectives, and for each objective, you're going to hear from 1 to, say, 6 strategies to achieve those objectives, which will support the overall goal. So each one varies slightly, but that's the overall construct that you'll see here. So you'll see the primary goal centered here, and you may see an objective here, here, and here, and then the satellites here really represent the strategies that you'll be hearing from. Some have costs associated with them. They are projected or estimated costs. We think they're reasonable, but again, understand that this is done in isolation of the whole budget, and it's not, so just bear with us in terms of that goes. So we'll look at that a little bit later. Also, what you'll see at the end of the slide, the presentation here, is a link to a website. We create a website to facilitate the work of our committee, and there you'll really see the detail and all the resources that we use to guide us and inform us. So you'll see links to websites that we use. You'll see a file cabinet that public houses documents that we also rely upon. You'll see our calendar. We met bi-weekly for 6 months, and as the last month closed in on us, we met almost weekly to put the program. So we really put in our time, and I think you'll see that it shows the effort that we put in. So without further ado, let's begin with our presentation and see what's good for kids.
Good evening. Our finalized goal was to ensure that 100% of Patchogue-Medford's K-2 students will demonstrate at least 1 year's worth of growth in reading, writing, and numeracy as measured by adapting assessments to each student's learning level. By the end of each year, students who do not reach the desired growth will receive interventions, including, but not limited to, academic, social, emotional, and attendance supports. And we were very careful with how we phrased and word choice because we recognized that we were not only concerned with students that weren't meeting grade level expectations, but those that were exceeding grade level expectations as well. What do we mean by the multimodal student-centered approach? A reduction of direct instruction by the classroom teacher, which then increases student-led learning outcomes. Also, we hope that the instruction incorporate a variety of strategies to meet the multiple intelligences of our student body, such as video conferencing for our visual, spatial, and auditory learners, hands-on learning and role-playing for our kinesthetic learners, incorporating music and song for musical learners, and implementing seminars and computer conferencing for interpersonal learners. Another strategy to support this objective is to reallocate master teachers as peer coaches, with the hope of having one coach in each of the 7 elementary schools. These coaches would work with classroom teachers on lesson planning and their implementation. They could also go into the class and provide a different lens for reflecting on the instruction. Then together, the master teacher or peer coach and the classroom teacher would begin the cycle again. This cost is associated with this is based on the need to replace the peer coach. We estimated the cost of approximately $75,000 per school year for all 7 replacements. Another suggested strategy that could be employed to meet the overarching goal is to have speech teachers push into kindergarten and first grade classroom teachers to provide supplementary phonemic awareness lessons to small groups of students. This cost is projected on speech teachers pushing into each kinder and first grade class once a week, which equates to increasing speech teaching staff by 2. Another recommended strategy to meet our goal was to adapt, and align instruction to a multimodal program. Again, that pretty much is self-explanatory. You can go to the next slide as well, Dave, thank you. This teacher release time will allow classroom teachers to participate in one learning walk, a marking period, to capitalize on the expertise of our current teaching staff. This cost, again, was factored on the number of substitutes that would be needed to allow each teacher who services students in kinder through 2nd grade to participate in learning walks, 3 learning walks throughout the year. I'm going to turn over to Christine Pearsall at this time. Thank you.
Just part. Just for. Okay. As far as teacher release time, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the concept of learning walks, we've included a link to a great teaching channel video. And if you have your phone right now and a QR code reader, you're more than welcome to just snap a pic right now. And it gives you a great idea of what a learning walk is and how it's done, and you know what we propose to start doing again next year. Collaborative work sessions. As I'm sure you all know, we do a lot of co-teaching now here in PatMed. Special area teachers such as myself, E&L, we propose to have speech teachers co-teaching. And to do that successfully, we really need to incorporate more collaborative planning time. The day, goes by in a flash, everybody's pressed for time, and we really need to work in some more collaborative planning time, at least twice per marking period. And it would give our teachers and our co-teachers enough time, or at least more time, to plan some of the wonderful opportunities and wonderful programs that we have planned. time. We propose to have a math AIS teacher in every building next year. As you know, this year we have 2 throughout the district, and they see, I don't know, 300 to 400 students, I guess, altogether. And we're hoping that maybe next year we can incorporate a teacher, a math AIS teacher, into every elementary school building. Increasing family, school, and community connections. I think we're,
Yeah,
Jackie and I.
you can go up there. You can go online.
A little short. Okay, our next objective, can you hear me? Okay. Our next objective is to go, could you go back? Thank you. Is to increase family, school, community connections. Many studies have shown that family involvement has a direct and positive effect on a child's academic success. According to the Harvard Family Research Project, family involvement will enhance social competence, cognitive development, communication skills, literacy development, vocabulary growth, expressive language, comprehension skills, and positive engagement with their peers, adults, and learning. In order for this to happen, teachers and families must develop a partnership. We must create an environment where parents feel welcome and encouraged to participate in their child's education. We also must provide these families with the necessary tools for success. Our first strategy there is the Collaboration Club. This club is a structured program to build capacity for parents to enhance their child's academic performance. This club will focus on how parents and families can support their children academically and how they can become more involved in their child's education and in our school community. The idea is to show parents exactly how to do the many things that are asked of them every day, such as homework help, computer programs, even creating flashcards and helping their child use them. Also, how to access community services such as the public library or other parent support groups. This program will also give the parents the opportunity to share their ideas, their concerns, and their questions with the teachers. This club will be offered to both English and Spanish-speaking families and will be held after school or on Saturdays. The program was there, thanks. Tapping into human capital. We would like to have a showcase for the children. The showcase would feature special guests, mystery readers, or presenters who will come share their skills, their knowledge, their talents, or just come in to celebrate their cultures and traditions with the children. These guests will be members of our community, our family members, and our alumni, which we all know is filled with an overwhelming amount of inspiring and successful people. Elementary parent coordinator. We would like to hire one parent coordinator for each elementary school. This would be a paid part-time position. The parent coordinator will act as a liaison and an advocate. The parent will be a key communicator between the school and the parents. They would be responsible for maintaining the Parent Resource Center and the Communication Board. My Body Genius. Currently, our district has a summer literacy program. We believe that support is needed in both ELA and numeracy during the summer and during the school year. My Body Genius would provide students with both ELA and numeracy support, and their day would also include yoga and physical education interspersed into the program. The purpose is for the child to grow intellectually, physically, and interpersonally. We would also like to create a Parent Resource Center. The Parent Resource Center would be a place that parents can go for any information they might need regarding what's happening in our schools and in our community. The Resource Center would provide materials, parental support, and information would be available in their native language. This is something that will be defined based on the needs of our current students and families that are in our community today. And the last one here is the Parent Guidebook. This is a tool parents can use that will explain and define educational jargon and acronyms. This tool will improve teacher-to-parent communication and further help parents assist their children at home. Thank you. I will hand it over to you.
I don't like a bad penny, I show up again. Finally, we were asked to make sure we included measures. So for our part of the pillar, we have 3 measures that we've used. A national norm research-based adaptive assessment. We base this current estimate on the NWEA and the number of students we currently have in district. We also had attendance to make sure that we were hitting the needs of some of our student population. And our final one was some anecdotal evidence taken by classroom teachers. Thank you so much.
So that concludes our first goal that one of our subcommittees worked on. Now we'll go to our next, which has to deal with authentic learning and assessment.
We are looking to create alternative ways of teaching and assessing that builds on individual talents, creative capabilities, and age-appropriate critical thinking exercises, while being multidisciplinary and connecting subject matter.
All right. I'm going to give an example of what we mean by multidisciplinary, authentic assessment that students might engage in. Because practical examples of my forte. Anyway, at this point, students in grade two learn about community. That's what they learn about in social studies. However, what's authentic assessment that's interdisciplinary in grade 2? Well, that is creating an ideal community. One that takes into account mapping it, transportation devices, what's a good human relations between people, and putting together what would be naming the community, geographic resources, the environment, and social conditions of what makes good community members, travel, leisure, and then they have to map it. So that involves mathematics as well as science, social studies, and English. You know, Little House on the Prairie is a literature that they could read, but the community becomes one in which they create their own. And that's, if they've learned the principles of community and how to create a community, that's what you do. You build your own, and that's authentic assessment.
This circular form here is representing the path that would be used to perpetuate a multi-year curriculum development for creating student projects that span across subject areas. Each section is used to take the steps in continual revisiting of any project to ensure that it is updated and keeps a flexible nature. Curriculum needs to be designed, developed, implemented, monitored, evaluated, and reviewed constantly to keep it current and successful. The costs are for one in-house or a company consultant over a year, 4 teachers of each grade for 7 grades at 30 hours each, 28 teachers to be able to visit each other's school over the year, and field trips, real or virtual, for each class or grade. Total being 61.
The blank brain that can be filled in every child's mind. Education is an ongoing process. An approach to creating a personalized learning experience is one of our goals. Implementing a sustained systematic professional development program that develops curriculum and methods for assessing student work collaboratively. And collaboratively together, structured with a project team of teachers and directors, ensuring time to collaborate in buildings and across the district. And the professional development will be ongoing and continuous with experts or those in the field
who have the experience and the strength to mentor one another.
And I believe that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final goal has to deal with our career and technical education, so we'll begin with that.
We were focused on increasing the career and technical educational opportunities for our students in Patchogue. We had two basic ways of bringing that in. We were looking to get the program to be within the district instead of sending our students to BOCES, keeping it within the district here, and also creating a program that will culminate in a certification that will allow our students to get a job in the field that they choose straight out of high school. We're focused on 3 particular fields to start with.
When we say increasing the opportunities for kids, we're talking about being able to offer the opportunities to more kids. Currently, we do send our kids at the high school level, we send them to BOCES, to their technical program, at about $13 per student. So we only send kids in their senior year currently. So we'd like to increase those opportunities for the kids in our schools by offering it within house. Not just that, but by sending kids to BOCES, we're leaving a little bit, I think we're leaving a lot, take that back, off the table. Having it in-house allows us a chance to connect with our community and tap the resources from within. Whether it's the tradesmen, the specialists, the engineers, the healthcare workers that are right in our community that can be part of the education of our kids. So I think we're leaving a lot on the table by having it done outside. But what's difficult is when you try and balance what students want and what society's needs are. I mean, we don't want to train kids in basket weaving. We want to look at what society needs and then see if we can match up with what kids want. So that was a struggle. We came through with 3 different organizations with 3 different groupings. So our first was the construction and trade, building construction and trade, which would incorporate carpenters, electricians, plumbers, and heating, ventilation, and air conditioning folks all into one program. And here again, we could tap our resources locally to participate in curriculum development, as well as get speakers and training possible jobs later. One of the other areas that we thought, up and coming, not up and coming, but like really growing is the healthcare field. So when you take not just, nurse assisting, we have licensed, we want to talk about licensed practical nursing program where kids can actually get that certification upon graduation and then choose if they want to continue their education or use what they've already collected. Personal trainer, another big up and coming, whether that leads into studies in kinesiology or physical therapy, some sort of personal trainer program is something that kids can work with right away and then choose to take another path or extend that. Pharmacy tech is huge now, trying to get workers in that field. And again, these are all resources that are here locally. We can help the community participate in the education of our kids. But also with an eye on the future and higher, higher end curriculum or a stronger curriculum towards the STEM fields or the engineering fields. Computer technology, everything is computer technology and computer networking today. In fact, laptops are on their way out, tablets are on their way in, and everything's about being connected, whether it be via Wi-Fi or through a cell tower. So how about we train our kids to do that? How about we tap our resources to train our kids into fields that would be high need in the future? One of the places, because these type of fields, there's not a company, it's a connection called Project Lead the Way. It's actually based out of Syracuse and Rochester Institute of Technology, where they offer kids credits. They train your teachers. It is a program that you buy, that you can extend off of. They have all the resources. You have your teachers trained. The kids get credit by successfully completing your course. They offer stuff that we thought was very real and relevant to today, like civil engineering, as well as the applications engineers, on top of just the straight engineering disciplines. Dave, am I going too far? You may have to pull me over this. Yeah. All right, experiential. Right, so here we're talking about giving kids a chance to experience things, right? So in-house, enrich our students' experiences with maybe even like, you can almost talk like a capstone course. If we take our electricians, our plumbers, our HVAC, and our carpenters, maybe we put a trailer right in the middle of all four of these. Maybe we put a trailer in the middle of all these courses, and maybe we build a house on it. Maybe we have each discipline contribute to building a house. And then we take that house and we donate it to the community or a project to Habitat for Humanity and use that house for the cost of materials, and then we do it all over again. So our kids get the benefit from the experience of working with other trades and building, creating something as like a capstone type experience, but it also gets back to the community. So I think that would be a huge connection. We could take like folks in the healthcare field, we can connect with maybe some of the nursing homes that are around local to the area, or whether it's the gyms that are close to the area, and actually have kids participate, even if it's not a full internship. We're not talking about being paid, we're talking about the experience, giving kids the experience. The engineering program, I think some of the kids that may go through our BOCES program currently, they're not getting back in time to be part of the robotics program. So I think if we can connect, if we can do it in-house, we can have the kids come back, still participate in school programs, be part of robotics if they want to. Who knows? Maybe even incorporate the robotics program into the engineering and tie that as one piece. Have that be like one hub where all the engineers can kind of come to from the field. There are competitions. There's a company called Skills USA that actually does career and technical competitions where kids get to compete and show off their skills and get awards based on their skills, scholarships based on their skills. Internships, so the connection with the community is actually like a mutually beneficial relationship, where if we can connect with our community and we can invite some of the tradesmen or some of the specialist experts in to be guest speakers into our classrooms, bring some of that real relevance to the kids in the room. Job site tours, maybe our kids can go and shadow one of the experts and get to see it real hand. I mean, nothing makes it more real for a kid than actually watching it themselves. That could lead to internships, which provides the community with a resource of semi-skilled labor. They're walking out with a skill that can be utilized practically right away. Our community would know that by participating in the program. And what we get is we get our skilled kids to work, and then they get to decide what they want to do after that. So, the benefits, Dave? Okay, so you want to do this first? We'll do Gloria first.
I'm back again. We already have a program that can be used to create a CTE sequence for business. And that can be done for those students who want to go on to college or just want a CTE certification so they can go out into the world. And we already have programs that can do that, which we want to expand. We have where students can take a college seminar, computer applications for college and career. Computer applications are for those students going to college and for those students not going to college. In terms of, we also have advanced computer course. And in addition, they have a sequence of this in terms of accounting or college accounting, e-commerce marketing, virtual enterprise. And we already have a corporate internship program so students can take this sequence by the time they're seniors and get CTE certified. And we want to expand the corporate raters internship program, which already exists but can be expanded. Lorraine, Lorraine is the head of the corporate raters internship program, and she could tell you some of the things that we do and we want to expand. Go ahead.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you all for having me today. As the internship advisor at the high school, I have a group of students who have a variety of aspirations as far as their future endeavors, and they have goals for themselves. And they join our corporate rater internship program in their junior year, and they engage in a lot of different student activities. In fact, I believe some of the teacher mentors are here, as well as some community members whose children have been in the program. And basically what we do is we start the year off training them on how to go on internships, and then we let them actually participate and some of the many things that Joe just shared as far as shadowing days, employment days, career connections exploration day, human resources experiences, etc. And many of the different groups that we've serviced do not fit in the category of what your mission is. So we're excited to expand it and be a help to the new endeavor that you have to make a great opportunity for many students to learn about their professions. So I thank you for all the efforts that you've put forth, and we look forward as a business education department to participate in getting the CTE certification for our strand, but at the same time being a help for our students to intern. And last week, we just had a couple of our engineering interns get started, and they had a terrific time, and I think one of our Board of Ed members, their son was also one as well at the Hynes Energy Center. So we look forward to sharing the many different opportunities that we've kind of stumbled upon, and we really care about this population because we want to see them grow and learn and have the opportunities that we've set forth at the high school. So I want to thank you again, and we certainly appreciate that you are making this mission come a reality for our students, because it sounds very exciting and beneficial. Thank you.
We want to have CTE certification in business and all of the programs that Joe mentioned, because I think this would be great for those students who, some of whom may go on to college and some who may not, but can walk out and feel employable. Thank you.
Just to recap from our goals, that bringing these programs inside, having it done here within Patchogue-Medford gives us the control, gives us the flexibility to address what our kids' needs instead of paying out. So, and even with saying that, when you put the cost in perspective, we're spending about $13,000 per child to send them to BOCES for a one-year program. So if we put 10 kids in a plumbing classroom, right, the amount of money that we are bringing back into the district can certainly go a long way to paying for that type of program. More students could be motivated with these type of offerings, and we're talking about the initial offerings, not where that couldn't grow to. Kids would not lose out on sports or robotics or other clubs and activities by having it done in-house, but I think one of the real important things is it gets us to connect with our community and be able to use our community to help us. Thank you.
Thank you. That's our third goal. I just want to mention that Joe actually is a product of the CTE program, so it is near and dear to him, and he speaks with great authority and expertise on this, and really is passionate about this. So, again, Lorraine, too, is really an excellent resource. And we chose that one particularly because of people like Joe, like Matt, like Lorraine. We already have these people on staff right now, so we're looking to utilize the current staff that we have and really augment these programs and provide students another pathway to graduate high school that isn't all based upon reading exams. So that was the point of choosing this goal. So what you've heard is, so far, I hope you believe, is all good for kids, and that we really are valuing the high-quality education we want to provide for students. So this is giving them opportunities to go on and hopefully at some point earn higher earnings and be able to improve their savings, and which will ultimately hopefully lead to a higher quality of life. So ultimately, the education that we provide for them will set their future pathways, and we hope that we will give them the best foundation possible by incorporating the various comprehensive programs that you've seen tonight. So I just want to finish with a short little video which summarizes the work that we've done. So here we go.
Our recommendations are good for kids. As a committee of parents, teachers, and administrators, we collaborated by examining our present conditions of learning, evaluating our strengths and weaknesses, and determining significant barriers to learning. Next, we created 3 comprehensive goals that align with the district's vision and mission statements and address all levels across the K-12 continuum. For each goal, we formulated objectives that are progressive and meet the diverse background and needs of our students. For each objective, we drew upon the innovative research on best practices in order to identify realistic strategies that are attainable within the near future and not too distant future, while addressing the benefits to the social, emotional, and intellectual development of our students. In summary, our recommendations are good for kids. Additional detail and information is obtainable from our Pillar website at this address. Thanks again to the following committee members for their valued contribution.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. Could you give us that web address again?
It's actually in a handout we
Just
have.
let me get that. Great, thank you.
How about one more round? Thank you, all the committee members, for voting everyone. I can't tell you how much we certainly appreciate the time and effort. That video in the end, by the way, I didn't see that, so that was a little added bonus, so thank you for that. And yes, we will have handouts for everyone who's here for you to bring home. This is also being video recorded, so we will have, hopefully it'll be up on YouTube by tomorrow, so you get to relive this all again, if and when you choose to watch this. But again, this is our first step moving forward. And for the sake of time, I know we have Pillar 2 who's chomping at the bit, but maybe as they get set up, if we have any questions for Pillar number 1 right now, is there anybody in the audience who has any questions or thoughts? I feel like Phil Donahue, I'm going to come up with down the aisle.
So sitting behind Don, I noticed a lot of movement. Maybe it wasn't in correlation to the numbers I saw. I wonder if the committee has a total cost, a complete cost of everything that you have proposed.
So first of all, I felt that the heat coming from Dr. Jones, that's our business official, by the way. Yeah, so listen, what I do appreciate is the fact that it was, the costs were attached to it. And I think Dr. Jones was taking copious notes as far as the total amount, which we won't say right now, because these are recommendations for the board to ponder and certainly consider in the very near future. But here's the reality of all this. These are wonderful ideas. There is an investment in our children, and I'm thinking at some point the return on that investment will be significant. And certainly as the board, grapples with this and thinks about this, yes, there are always costs that are attached to it. But I think, as we move forward in the very near future, we're gonna think about how best to tackle all that. Before I forget, we have a former board trustee who was a vice president, Tony Russo. Thank you for being here tonight. Certainly appreciate that very, very much. Any other questions or thoughts? Well, we can do it now. It's, for the next couple of minutes, sure. Hold on. Let me bring this over.
For the Mind, Body, Genius program, is that just in the summer, or is that, like, what was?
No, that would be summer and during the year.
And
so
on the
weekends.
And was that just specifically for K through 2?
We wanted to have it in the fall and spring, so 2 times in the fall and 2 times in the spring on the weekends. So kind of like in the beginning of the year, the children can get a refresher on ELA and numeracy along with yoga. And then in the spring also, towards the end of the year, when there comes that time. And then in the summer, we'll also have the ELA, the Mind Body Genius, available on the weekends, and we hope to provide transportation so everybody can get an opportunity to do that.
To answer your question, it was K2
Do you elaborate a little? Was it, because I know like last year, there were IS teachers that pushed into classrooms, but this year's a little different, so what was your thought behind that? Or did you have anything specific?
Just real quickly, right now we have two AIS teachers. AIS stands for Academic Intervention Service. It's an additional service provided to students who aren't the AIS service is mandated to be provided to students who are not meeting proficiency levels. So we currently have 2 employees, 2 teachers who do that, and it just is not as effective as we would like it to be. So we are proposing that we have 1 math specialist in each elementary school to address those students who aren't meeting those proficiency levels.
Any other questions?
Thank you. First, I'd like to say great job to the committee. The one question I have is with regard to the CTE program. I like the idea, but were there any projections or any discussion about what the cost would be to retrofit the classrooms in order to accommodate the various?
So the answer is no directly, but I will say that we particularly chose those particular fields because we thought it had minimal cost associated with them. So again, we tried to be judicious in our selection of goals because we know that they do come with price tag. And so we felt that those 3 would be minimal, but still have some cost. So we did not really investigate that, just given the time, but we certainly know that that'd be another element to what we need to do as far as the committee's work.
Okay, so I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll have one more question. Anybody have one more, and then we're going to move on to pillar number 2.
I have a question about the parent liaison between the school and the community. Isn't that really what we have the PTA for already? And it's not a paid job?
It would be more in depth than what the PTA is able to do right now. And as a part-time paid position, that parent would be present whenever other parents came in, whether it would be to look for translation services, for example, or find information for services in the community and different programs. So therefore, it would be a little bit more, a lot more, hopefully, intensive than what the PTA is currently able to provide.
The primary purpose of that, though, is to build and foster that relationship. Success of students is really based upon all those who have direct contact with students. So that includes the family and the school. So we need to provide an avenue for parents to become involved in their child's education more directly. So that's why we believe that parent liaison can help make that bridge. So that was the value of that.
What I'd like to do is actually turn it over to Mr. Katz, Mr. Neil Katz, to move forward with our Pillar 2 presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Hynes. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and thank you to our board and to our administrative colleagues and to the community for coming out tonight. Promoting and advancing human capital. I'd like to introduce and ask all of our committee members who are here to come up to join me tonight. Jose Castillo is here tonight. He's a parent in the community, but also a teacher in another district. Thank you, Jose. Dana Sterbone is a teacher in the district. I didn't see Dana. Is she here? No, Dana's not here tonight. Garrett Comanzo, assistant principal at the high school, is not able to be here tonight. Rich Hoffman is here tonight, assistant principal at the high school. Rich, come on up, please join us. Kellyanne Jennings, a board member and a parent in the community. Thank you, Kelly. Bob Lindquist, the teacher, is not present tonight, but Ann Logan is present. Teresa McGuire, the director in the district, is present with us, and Lori Musamichi, a PTA rep and a part-timer in our district. I didn't see Lori tonight either. So thank you all for your hard work, dedication, and the hours that you put in as part of our committee. One of the main things I think that you'll hear tonight is repetitive. And I guess when I come back next week, I'll hear a lot of the same things from the other committees. And not seeing the pillar committee that Dave worked on, not seeing their presentation, or really knowing a lot about the information that they presented, a lot of it overlaps and forms right into what our committee looked at. And I think you'll hear a lot of similarities in that. Donna, for you, what I'd be really interested in is to look at the numbers that they came up with and the numbers that we came up with. And you'll get the best ones, don't worry. What's happening with this? There you go. So as you heard already tonight, our purpose is to identify a few goals that will promote and advance human capital. But as Dave mentioned, we talked about a lot of things over a number of months, and it was very difficult to take all of those concepts and ideas that people had and put them into 3 or 4 main concepts, and we're going to really focus on 2 goals tonight with a lot of pieces. But that list, when it was all compiled, I would say had more than 50 or so items that we went back and forth on as to what are things that we could recommend at this point in time and what things you might see over the next few years. Explain how we're going to measure those and hopefully answer questions for you in the future. Please, I'd like to ask you guys to join in. Anybody? Going once? So human capital, I think Dr. Hynes mentioned this before, but human capital, really what are the abilities of the individuals that we have working in our district now? How do we nurture and cultivate those abilities of every staff member? And a lot of the conversation centered around, for our committee, centered around moving away from just the teaching staff, because those are the individuals that you hear about more often in a lot of information, as well as tonight. We talked a lot about everybody in our school system that's involved in the growth of a child and the education of a child. From the school bus driver, the cafeteria staff, custodial, clerical, nurses, classroom teachers, administrators, moving on up, part-time aides, and so on. It takes a village theory, and that's what we talk about. How do we cultivate the skills and the traits of our current staff? And then on top of that, how do we recruit individuals to come to Patchogue-Medford and select Patchogue-Medford from all the school districts on Long Island? What's going to make us stand out? So human capital for us was about how are we going to get the most out of all the individuals that are here and then promote others, our district, for others to come here. And how do we get the best out of everybody in order to provide the most sound education for the children that we serve, as Dave mentioned before. So an overview of our goals, we had a long list of items that were included in all of our goals. Similar in nature that you heard before, a staff coaching model that would be implemented during the 5-year period. This is something that has to grow in small steps because we're such a huge district. In order to provide the relief for the teachers to be able to go around coaching and provide release time, that has to happen in small steps. It couldn't be done in 1 year. Job collaboration for all staff, redesigning our mentor program for the teaching staff and the administrative staff and all staff in between. Committee to redesign a comprehensive program for an administrative manual and guidance documents, mentoring for all of our probationary staff, looking at job descriptions of our lead teachers, and are we using the strengths of those individuals to the best of our ability, designing a structure for lead teachers, allowing lead teachers as instructional leaders, providing demonstration lessons and working with staff, establishing a Patchogue-Medford Employee Resource Center, Employee Learning Center. We have heard over time about teacher centers, and again, we tried to move away from focusing on just teachers and focusing on all staff and what learning opportunities could we present in professional development in-house to all staff members and leave it available for all of our staff. promoting advancement of professionals by encouraging people to take care of their own professional needs and professional growth, as offering information to our staff, but also attending as an employee, and outreach to local colleges and universities. Our first goal: developing and integrating ongoing professional development, expanding knowledge, skills, resources, and collaborative abilities to grow in our roles as a school community. I touched on that briefly before. Human capital, taking the piece of creativity, skills and activities, life experiences and knowledge. Very interesting in hearing what our first pillar talked about and the opportunities for kids, but taking that and tweaking it for adults that work in our system in order to provide those opportunities for the children. So we looked at coaching for a 3-year period. And for those folks who were in our school system when we had literacy coaches and some other individuals working with the staff, we felt that we had to really put something in place or recommend something be put into place, but sustain it for a minimum of a 3-year period in order to evaluate it effectively. The one-shot deal was not enough. We have heard from individuals that say, we've tried something, it worked, it didn't work, and we moved on the next year and implemented something else. A lot of the feedback we got was individuals not only enjoyed the collaboration of coaching, but found that to be the most valuable with colleagues teaching colleagues and helping colleagues. But we felt in order to evaluate that effectively and for it to be quantified in an appropriate way, we'd have to look at it over an extended period of time, which we felt 3 years was fair. Surveying the teachers that are participating in it, having conversations teacher to teacher, classroom coaching and observations of each other, and dialogue with administrators. But it's an ongoing circle. The evaluation, the goals, the monitoring, change those processes along the way by looking at feedback. The mentoring program implemented for a 1-year period, reviewing mentoring logs, mentor-mentee presentations, reflection documents, use of teacher surveys, and dialogue. So mentoring program, right now our program is in effect for 1 year. That's what the state requires. But again, if we want to advance and promote human capital, it's to look at that 1 year and grow it, and keep our individuals in the mentoring program for the duration of their probationary period, the instructional staff, teachers and administrators, for the duration of now a 3, but more likely a 4-year probationary period. Donna, don't cringe, because all of that we know costs money. I told you to get the lower number, don't worry. Now, strategies and measurement. Lead teachers, we felt if we were going to look at how the lead teacher program we're running now, or the opportunities we're offering now, how we could change that in order to offer the best benefit we possibly could for our staff, we'd have an application process that was complete, and individuals involved in evaluating the candidates that apply for those positions to make sure that we're selecting as a collective group the best individual to work with the teachers in their area. Surveying teachers or staff on the process and the procedures along the way. Calculating the number of staff members that request to return to those positions. There's an ongoing dialogue as to how many people have held these positions over time and how many request to go back the following year, or how many request to go back to their classroom situation. So I think we have to evaluate that process and the program as well to make sure that the individuals that are working as the lead teachers and the mentoring individuals are satisfied in that particular role if they're successful. In order to stay in that role, we want them to be fulfilled in that role. So feedback on their experiences and evaluated by the director that's responsible for that department. Reviewing usage of staff and how many folks are actually participating in the Patchogue-Medford learning community. That we want to make sure that what we put into effect, people are utilizing that. What type of programs are staff seeking? And again, that's not just the teaching staff, but all of our staff. When we talk about professional growth and professional development for our classroom aides, for our cafeteria staff, and our custodial and maintenance staff, clerical, what are the needs that they have and how can we meet them? Our second goal was to foster job satisfaction through effective recruitment and cohesive growth, centered evaluation and feedback practices for all employees. Job satisfaction, we felt, was a key component to having our district thrive. When we have individuals here, if they're not satisfied as professionals, then we're missing the mark. They probably can't perform to their best ability. We want to make sure that we're taking care of the individuals that do work with us. So we looked at some websites, employee satisfaction surveys, digital filing completed, vacancy information reviews, social media followings, and community feedback. We felt that our website needed a complete overhaul to offer information to our community and our staff as the best programs that we have to offer. How satisfied are our employees in their role? All employees, and what can we do to improve that? We're looking at right now in my office changing the onboarding process to a digital filing and having our individuals that come on board move to a digital platform, whereas now it's a paper process, obviously, but people seem to get lost in the process somewhere. It's an item that we've been looking at, that in order to get our staff on board faster and then evaluate that process. So on day one, when they come in, regardless of their role, they already know what to expect, and we felt there's a disconnect somewhere. Vacancy information review, so we're looking at the positions that we have available throughout the school year. Do we have frequent turnover in certain areas more so than others? And if we do, what are we doing to tackle that? Because every time somebody turns over, when we have a great amount of staff turnover, there's a learning curve for new people coming in, and that impacts our students. How many people are following us on social media? We were missing the mark, we felt, on this, where we finally are now getting into that piece. But for new employees coming in, that's one of the first locations that people look, are to social media sites, and we're just there now. So we're behind the 8 ball on that, but we're working at it, and we have growth to do. And we felt we have to promote more of the things that we do well. What are we doing well? And I know we're working on that right now. And that's going to help us to attract the most qualified individuals to come to work at our school, because we're promoting the good things that are happening here. People we felt will apply. And community feedback. So what is the community saying? You'll get a copy of this. It's a 2-page document. It is in the handout. It's 2 pages. It's a trifold brochure. Thank you very much to Larry Roberts and Mike Scholes. Larry Roberts, our Director of Art, Music, and Cultural Arts. Mike Scholes, very talented art teacher at the high school, along with students that they worked with at the high school. And what we were trying to do was develop a recruitment brochure that we could hand out in our community to all of our residents, but also our business owners. And it highlights what our district has to offer. When you fold it, it looks like a trifold, and so the piece in the middle would be the back of the brochure. And what you'll see in the packet is a black and white copy, but the draft that we have right now is actually color-coded, and Larry is continuing to tweak that to make it the best item we have available. But a recruitment brochure that highlights our school and our employees, and certainly our students. It's a quick video, which we're moving on to next. This is the next piece. This is a sample of another school district, but it was something that we felt was extremely powerful. When we talk about recruitment tools and social media, this is just another avenue. So this, I think, is about 2 minutes. Please bear with us. Come on.
we are looking for staff, secretary, clerical. We are looking for the best possible candidate.
Racine Unified School District is providing the tools for this environment. Teachers are able to rely on the technology.
I'm Molly Boss. I'm the superintendent for Racine Unified. I came to Racine because I've seen nothing but potential here. Racine is filled with so many people who want to make a difference, want to help, want our school system to get better.
Hands down for diversity. You don't get that in other schools around the area. If you're going to live in a global society, you've got to know what it looks like. You have to have a feel for what diversity actually is. You don't get that all over the state. So you have an opportunity in Racine to understand diversity, understand our cultures, how people live, how people think.
I feel good at the end of the day when I leave. I accomplished something.
I know no better place to come than Racine Unified School District because it allows you the opportunity to actually make that difference.
It's the people. This district is a great asset for urban-sized district. This of 20,000 plus kids. To have the level of diversity that we have is amazing.
It's very family-oriented where everyone plays a part, and I think that's a strength.
We have all kids graduating with a purpose, whether it's going to a four-year college, a two-year college, or being career-ready, job-ready when they leave high school.
We really care about the children and whether they succeed or not, and how they look at the children's growth potential.
I just think it's a fabulous place to work, and I can say that for me, again, it was a career change 5 years ago, and I have never looked back.
What I enjoy most about my job is the kids and the people I get to work with. The people I get to work with are terrific.
Being able to work with the students, being able to work with families, just being there knowing that the student knows there's someone that they can talk to.
When I see a student accelerating their growth and really using the strategies that I'm teaching them independently, that's what I look for.
Pushing kids really, really fun. And I like to kind of break them out of that and push them. And the feast is a great way for them to experiment with acting, something they've never done before. So that's my greatest joy, is to push them out of who they think they are into maybe some other direction.
The best part of my day is getting hugs. So I love when the kids give me a hug. Hi, Christina. Hi, Miss Rowley. Good morning. Good morning. I think that's the best part of my day.
The moment when a student who's been struggling finally understands something, you have this moment where you can see their face going up. The key to learning is going on, and they feel so powerful, and that their options now are limitless.
Quick video about what we're looking to do to promote our school district, interviewing staff across the district in all different capacities, and why Patchogue-Medford is such a great place for them to work and ultimately for children. We thought that was a great sample of what we'll be working on, and the idea behind that is also to have students involved in creating that video with staff on that video. So an authentic project for our kids. Some resources that are also in the packet. And ultimately, we truly believe that having our staff have the opportunity to engage in professional development, engage in collaboration, engage in growth, and looking at what best practices are in their field, and certainly recruiting the best folks that are out there to come to our district is what's going to help us to move our district into PatMed 2.0. Thank you very much.
We just turn the lights on. I thought we were in my basement. Thanks. All right, so thank you, Neil. Thank you, all the committee members. Really appreciate it. So it looks like for the first two pillars, we focused on programs K through 2 with intensive focuses at all different levels. And then the second has to do with the people who work within this organic system, as we know, as a school district. Because basically the people who work here are the people who touch the lives of our kids in every single way. and we need to augment and really promote and tap into their potential to fulfill whatever they can do. And I think it's wonderful. Really just a promotion of that. So questions for pillar number 2. Do we have any questions for any of the committee members, except for Dr. Jones? Any other questions for pillar number 2? Oh, she does.
It's not dollar and cents related. I just had a question, and great job, pillar number 2. Just a question regarding the professional development for more operational staff. Did you have any, were you able to flush that out a little bit more as to, say, some type of academy for, say, the maintenance and custodial staff? What does that look like, and how does that work?
Sure. We really spoke in general terms. We felt one of the most important pieces would be to survey the staff in each area as to what their needs were. We know certainly there are mandated requirements that we have to provide training in and professional growth. We talked about those, when is the best time, especially for operational staff, to do that training, because the days when the teachers are not in their classrooms and the students aren't here, those are the days that our operational staff really have an opportunity to catch up on the things around the buildings that they're not able to do when kids are in classrooms. So that's takes some time to strategize with John Fleming and Dan Burt and Ed Sarah as to when is the right time to do that. The summertime, we know when we don't have kids in classrooms, there's a lot of work taking place in all of our buildings and on the grounds. They're able to accomplish a lot in a short period of time. So, as I know that you know, Donna, our operational staff and our clerical staff have mandatory up to 5 hours worth of training in their contracts, and that might be an opportunity to capitalize on that and use it. But not only as directed training, we felt probably most appropriate to, there's certain training that would be required, obviously, but to look at what the staff feel they need and try and build that program based on their specific needs. Sure.
One of the things that we talked about as part of our committee was developing a professional learning center. And in our conversation, that could include classroom aides, it could include cafeteria workers. What a professional learning center does is many districts go outside of their district to get professional development. And we talked about how we have so many talented people here, whether it be a cafeteria worker that's been doing it for 20 years and can share information with others, or our teachers are excellent resources for us. So one of the things that we did talk about and want to continue to talk about is how do we get a professional learning committee started where we actually provide courses to one another, and then people get credit for that. It's very cost effective. Rather than having our staff go outside, we start really building a community where we, number one, honor our own skills. We can target our own students' needs because we're working directly with them. We know where we need to grow as professionals, whether you're in a cafeteria, a teacher, an administrator. So it's this cycle of us teaching one another and growing as a district. So I think it's not only limited to teachers, it can expand to administrators. Administrators can teach courses, teachers can teach courses, and we would run different semesters. We talked about one semester being in the beginning of the year, second semester at the end, and really starting to build a community within ourselves.
Any other questions for? Oh, please, sorry.
One of the things that we also stressed in terms of including not just administrative staff members and teachers in the building is that students now no longer just rely on support from teachers and administrators. The entire building is an opportunity for students to open up and share information about what's going on with their daily concerns, any struggles that they're facing. And we felt that one of the great things that we can do for everyone, every building, is provide them with the training so that they know how to deal with situations like that, how to identify situations. You know, there are so many people in every building, in every facet, whether it's clericals, custodial staff members, that students make connections with. And, you know, sometimes students feel a little bit more open, a little bit more comfortable with going to someone else that's not someone that's giving them a grade, or someone that they see with a tie and a walkie-talkie thinking that they're about to get judged. But, you know, we felt that by giving the clericals and other other staff members in the building this opportunity to get this training, like let's say DASA, identification, or any other situations like that, now all of a sudden administrators as well as teachers and other faculty members have that resource of using them. Now they can also come to us with maybe something that a student wouldn't let somebody else know.
And just to add to what Teresa and Jose just said also, a course that may be offered and presented by an instructional staff member would be open to the entire school community, all of our employees. So they would really select something that they felt was in line and appropriate for their professional needs. Because it may be something that typically teachers would take, doesn't mean that it would be closed out unless just for enrollment numbers, but certainly the opportunity would be there for all staff to participate in any program that we were to offer.
Any other questions for pillar number 2, or any thoughts or comments? Okay, I have one. As far as implementation, I mean, certainly we can't do all of this next year. We didn't budget for much, if not all of this, for next year. Were there things that you were thinking that would slowly be moving forward in years 2, 3, and 4, possibly 5?
Sure. The coaching model we thought we would be able to start out with, depending on scheduling, in small pieces next year and roll that forward the following years. The lead teacher changes, if we can make that happen by the end of the year, that's a possibility. And certainly the course offerings, we can do that without securing a site location district-wide. We can find a facility, use one of our own facilities, and not set up at this moment in time a center room, so to speak, but we can start with the programs and the course offerings for folks to participate in.
Thank you. Last chance. Yes.
Great job with both committees. It's like a lot of hard work into it. I just had a question about the professional development. How would you get, or how would you motivate teachers and staff to take these classes? Like, what's the, I know the reward is, of course, you know, around the building, the kids, you know, doing better and everything, but, you know, what's their motivation beyond that? Because I know as a teacher myself, not all staff would want to, you know, take part in professional development class unless there was, you know, something more to it.
Sure. I think the key to any professional development program is something we spend a lot of our meetings talking about. The key to any professional development program is that it's self-directed, that the individual has options, that you're not telling them you have to take this, this, and this, that they see what's offered and can participate in what they feel they need. But also that the staff can propose a course to teach a course, and that can be taught by anybody. It certainly would have to be vetted and approved by our assistant superintendent and our superintendent, but nonetheless, assuming it's approved, they have the opportunity to share their wealth of information as well. But I think when you give people an opportunity to select what they think they need, surveying where they're at and where they'd like to go as a professional, that's where we're going to get the bang for the buck. However, there potentially could be compensation when you talk about for the instructional staff moving along on the salary schedule, so those individuals would be able to utilize certain courses for credit. And then if there are opportunities for salary advancement, they'd be able to utilize those.
I think I'm loud. Oh, okay. All right. I have a question. How do you distinguish between lead teachers, coaches, and directors who should be instructional leaders as well? How does your committee distinguish between the three?
I'm sorry, Mayor. So obviously the director has an administrative role, and I think we put those individuals in a separate position because they are responsible for oversight of the program and directing both the lead teacher and the mentors. They're responsible for supervision. As far as the lead teacher, we were looking at the recommendation and suggestion for that being more of an instructional coach in and of itself. We did talk about where does it overlap and where might you be able to eliminate one. And we felt that the lead teacher, if they are given the release time and actually working in demo lessons and collaboration with staff, that they may take the place of the mentor and they would fill both roles. We talked about that.
Neil, if someone applies, can this go through my learning plan? If an individual chose to take a course at some point, once this is up and running?
All the registration would go through my learning plan, and for those individuals that need to log professional development hours for certification purposes, that would obviously count for that.
Any other questions or thoughts regarding pillar number 2? Well, if that's the case, how about one more round of applause for all the committee members and pillars 1 and 2? Before I forget, we have handouts for the Prezi and the PowerPoint up here, so please make sure when you leave that you take a copy. Again, this meeting is being recorded and hopefully we'll have on our website that no one looks at, and just kidding. I'm totally kidding. And on Facebook and Twitter, so we'll make sure that we get it out there. So for those of you who couldn't see it, or again you want to see it again, it'll be out there. The next meeting that we have is on April 20th, and that's for pillars 3 through 5. 3 through 5. I strongly encourage, certainly those of you who are here, that you come back, and hopefully we'll have some more people here to focus on some very important areas, and I'm so much looking forward to it. And again, thank you for being here. Please don't leave until you have the sheet. And by the way, we didn't hand these out ahead of time because if you're like me, you would have been looking through this whole thing as people were talking with us. So that's why we waited until the end. So thank you for coming, and we'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week.